Yo, what's going on YouTube? I'm your boy Rory with Roar Sports Media, joined with my co-host Jordan Wiggs. Say what's up, my man.
Hey, Roar Sports Media, how are y'all doing tonight? We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Hopefully y'all join in and comment. We love the comments.
Yes, sir. So, the 2020 season's officially done, dude, and we have a new king and an old king. So,
yes, we do.
Yeah. So I think the first thing we can go over is the Super Bowl, of course, and then we'll just mix in the Tom Brady talk and even Gronk, because now we can say that Gronk's officially, you can't question it. He's probably the greatest tight end of all time. He's definitely the most accomplished. Whereas I don't think he had a fantastic year this year, but we'll get into that. The Super Bowl was, essentially how we called it on the show. When we were talking about it, dude, like literally we said it's going to be a good game, which for one side it was at least. But the thing was, it was Tampa Bay's defense. It was Tampa Bay's defense that went off and Tampa Bay's paying of the refs. So,
of course.
Well, I mean, it was home field advantage. So
exactly. Maybe a little too much home field advantage. Since Roger Goodell was there, and you know how much he loves certain players in the NFL. He loves one.
I don't think he loves Tom Brady. I mean, he did suspend him for half a year,
Oh man, and then he just let that one little cheating scandal go away. It was like, yeah, I break my phones every few weeks. I just destroy them completely to where you can't look anything up.
That's just what I do. Don't worry about that.
What I do. Giselle tells me to do it.
Yeah,
I'm Tom Brady.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, dude. So, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good Super Bowl. I feel so sorry for Pat Mahomes because now he officially knows what it'd be like to play for Cincinnati. Basically, he knows how Joe Burrow feels. Having basically no time in the pocket, getting no protection, no help in the running game.
No help in the catching. Pat Mahomes, nobody caught anything.
Right. Pat Mahomes knows how he knows how it feels to be a Bengals player, our Bengals quarterback right now. I think we can all feel a little sorry for that. But besides that, Pat had a very, very dude, he was Superman. He was making stuff happen that was insane, man. And I feel kind of bad because I feel like his team let him down.
Yes, it did.
For some reason, Levante David just stuck to Travis Kelce the entire game. And it wasn't like necessarily pass interferences. He was just covering Kelce. And I think that what it was Kelce was getting free releases, or other linebackers who are not as good in coverage were backing off Kelce. You could see Levante just whenever Kelce would try to make that move, just not move, and they would just clash and they would take him off his route, or he would buy enough time for the pass rush, which we said was going to be key. And clearly the Kansas City Chiefs they were missing Eric Fisher and forgot his name. I literally blanked. Schwartz. Yeah, Mitchell Schwartz, the right tackle, dude. They're playing with Mike Remmers, which, Mike Remmers also let Cam Newton get killed in the Super Bowl also by Von Miller. Yeah, I feel sorry for Pat because he was making unbelievable plays, but just getting let down by his team.
Did you know Pat Mahomes scrambling had almost 500 yards from one end to the other? 497.
497, dude.
And he was flipping around. He was doing backflips. He was tossing them. He was pegging his receivers. Any receiver, they want it right there in the face mask.
Right in the face mask.
He was just doing it every time. Sideways, backflip, behind his back.
Yeah.
It just... Oh
you could see in the fourth quarter the frustration that was just on his face. And not to mention, dude, Pat Mahomes was hurt. Like, clearly, I'm a Pat Mahomes truther. I love the dude. I think he is probably. I mean, I don't think that you can ever make. So that's the thing about it. I don't think you can ever make, even if he'd won 9 Super Bowls. I don't think you could ever make the case that he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time in football. I really don't think that you can make that case because he got beat by the greatest of all time in football in the most important game. Pat Mahomes is going to have and just basically flawless career from here on out to be considered the pinnacle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, of course. He's gonna be up there, but it's just for all those people who, I mean, it's really hard to argue against someone with 7 rings, the most ever, the most on, beats every franchise, won the most as a single quarterback for any team. I mean, it's just hard to go, yes, of course, we can always argue individually, is there a better quarterback? Of course. You can do that with every sport, any player, any GOAT. You can do that because there are. It's just how it is. It's just what makes sports great.
Right.
But to do what he did, it's unheard of. We're not seeing it, and we may never see it again.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes could win 5 Super Bowls, but still not going to be Tom Brady.
Right. Well, the thing is, and I think that he really doing it in another place, winning another sport in another place, mind you, a stacked organization because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been picking in the top, 10 to 5 for the past 5 to 7 years. So I mean, the amount of talent is just they were stacked, dude. Vita Vea is a monster. Devin White is a monster. They've had great players like Levante David for a long time.
Jason Pierre-Paul is undefeated in the playoffs.
Right.
He doesn't lose in the playoffs.
Yeah, JPP, who's a monster. They got Shaq Barrett for cheap, which he wanted to be a Cincinnati Bengal. He wanted to be a Bengal. He said when he was going to Cincinnati, he was like, yes. And then our stupid doctors said, no, Shaq Barrett, we don't want you because, your shoulder looks a little funny. And then he goes to Tampa Bay and leads the league in sacks the next year. So the sheer amount of talent that was on Tampa Bay's team, and then whenever they got the Brady bump from free agents that just wanted to come play for Brady, it just kind of made it not necessarily unfair, but Tom has been in a situation in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl where it's just kind of like you mix that talent with the experience and you got a really, really, you got a Super Bowl. You got the pinnacle.
And not to mention, they used Gronk perfectly.
Yeah.
They used him perfectly. They barely used him in the season, and then they ran him ragged in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Which Gronk is Gronk. We all know what he is. We all know how great of a tight end he is. Some people will argue the greatest ever, and it's just, I mean, he may have just solidified that argument.
I don't think he is definitely the most accomplished tight end ever.
Of course.
And, even in the season, I mean, Gronk is pretty much in his prime, Gronk was basically unstoppable. My daughter's going crazy. She agrees that Gronk is the greatest of all time.
The greatest. That's what people do when they see Gronk. They scream. They cheer. They're so excited.
Yeah. It's just, the ladies love Gronk.
The ladies love Gronk.
Clearly what's happening. But the thing about it, Gronk looked healthy. You notice he wasn't wearing all of his robot stuff from New England. The knee brace and the elbow brace. He looked good. And I think that having all those other tight ends to keep his load off was a huge, huge help. Like having the O.J. Howard and the Cameron Brate kept Gronk healthy for the Super Bowl, which, man, they schemed him open so much. And there were some plays where, the ticky-tackiness where he kind of, got the better end of the deal. Like there were some balls where it was just uncatchable, but for some reason they called PI.
It's no doubt it was definitely this is for all you conspiracy theorists. It's hard when you look at a game like that and just see a defense rolling in there on an average of I think as a team they had 6 flags average the year, but as a defensive unit it was like I think 3 going in. So they're not it's not like they were making 6 flags every game. It was a very well-rounded unit in the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And I mean, when you have a player, I'm just saying, when you have a player run straight into you right out the line and then cut right, and then they're like holding on the defense, and then the next play Gronk catches it in the end zone. It's not pass interference, y'all, unless you actually like grab him and hold him.
Yeah,
he literally got blown up, fell back a little bit, and got pushed off of, and they were like, defense.
Right. But if you had watched the Chiefs versus the Bills game, the DBs for Kansas City Chiefs, they were playing pretty hands-on. Like if you watched like Stephon Diggs trying to get off, he was not necessarily being held, but very handsy. And that's apparently how Steve Spagnuolo teaches his DBs. He wants them to play rough. It's just, and for the most part, they got those calls because there's with reffing, I call it a popularity bias for if you're popular, you get the calls kind of thing, So like we're Cincinnati, we never get the calls because we're not that popular of a team.
Yeah.
But whenever you're playing, the Kansas City Chiefs and you're playing the Bills, Kansas City Chiefs are more popular. They kind of get the little bit of help from the refs, But the thing is, in the Super Bowl, if you're playing against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and you're probably not going to get those calls against the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird popularity bias, and I don't like it. Clearly, I'm a Bengals fan. I'd like to get calls sometimes, please. But I think that's what happened in the game.
No. That definitely, sometimes the refs. I was talking with a buddy of mine. He's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, and also a Green Bay Packers fan. So of course, he lives. Lives in Kansas City. Green Bay Packers fan his entire life.
Yeah.
But so he cheers for both.
I'm
and both get
fan,
taken down in questionable, questionable play calls against Tom Brady on both teams.
What's up, Rick?
So I mean, you always want to say that. What's Rory?
Well, what's Rory?
What's Rory?
I'm Rory.
That's a perplexing question. Tune in to our philosophy hour next week on What's Rory.
That's the next episode, Rick. Stay tuned. No, clearly a one-sided game. The defense from Tampa Bay was exactly what I called. Mm-hmm. They should have done. Rush 4, drop 7, make Pat Mahomes beat you that way. Because I mean, clearly, if you have no pass rush, don't just send 4. But whenever you have a Vita Vea, you have an Ndamukong Suh, you have a JPP, you have Shaq Barrett, who led the league in sacks last year, let the dogs hunt. And then make Pat Mahomes read that defense. Make him try and read who's open downfield while those dogs are hunting. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just kind of like, nah. No, what's up, Ray? We were just messing, man. No, appreciate you watching. Thanks for the comments also. Dude, it's kind of exactly how we called it on the show, the pre-show to the Super Bowl, what they should do, and they did the exact that, because I think what they did was LA Chargers gave them a blueprint of how you at least slow down Patty Mahomes.
Yes.
Right? You use those elite pass rushers to get after him, get him off his platform, and then you use the DBs to make the field hard to read. I'm not saying like,
but it took 4.
Yeah, it took 4. Yeah,
it took 4.
Right.
3, you might have had a different game. 2, you might have had a different game. Again, we have to toot Patrick Mahomes' horns. We have to toot that horn,
Yeah, Pat Mahomes is
because
incredible.
He read the defense. He made the throws.
Yep.
And the first unit that failed him
yes.
was the offense. The second unit that fell him that needed. I don't know why it was. I just don't know if it just went through their head. Like if the wide receivers coach, if Andy Reid just didn't want to talk to him and just be like, y'all need to make these throws. Y'all see what's happening to Mahomes right now. Patrick Mahomes. Y'all have to have these catches. Y'all can't drop these balls anymore. And they kept doing it. And
so
it may have still went in favor of Tampa Bay, but the game would have been closer.
Yeah, so
I still think it would have went in favor.
Rick said the Chiefs didn't have a game plan, the Bucks did.
Yeah.
Which I mean, yeah, clearly. I think that the Chiefs just couldn't run the ball. They didn't have the like I said, not having those offensive linemen took Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the game. And they couldn't just rush the ball. And you notice all the rush yards came from QB draws, came from the DBs dropping back, and then using the pass rushers to get downfield, and then Clyde could just have open holes to run through because they're sending like everyone down the field. But it's just a physicality. The Chiefs got out physical at both lines, offense and defense, because
Exactly.
Chris Jones and Frank Clark couldn't get to Tom Brady either. I don't think Tom got even touched in the game, did he? He didn't no sacks, right?
If he did, it was because he let him.
No,
bad. No. I'm just joking.
Tom didn't even get touched. He didn't.
I don't think he got touched. I think he got a little bit of smack talk from the Honey Badger, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And,
and then literally later in the game, picked on Tyrann Mathieu, threw the ball straight to Antonio Brown in front of him, and just kind of like you knew that was coming.
Yeah. One sack by Clark.
Gotcha. Okay.
One sack by Clark. I remember that happening, but I believe that was like early on in the game. Like
maybe, but
might have been the first series.
But Tampa also had more. They had like multiple. I think almost 100 yards of rushing, or more than 100 yards of rushing. So I mean, one team was more physical than the other, and it just showed. That's because the offensive defensive line. You need those to win Super Bowls. You can't just go into the Super Bowl without one or the other. You need both of them. And
this is a completely different game if Kansas City Chiefs have their 3 starting offensive linemen.
Exactly.
It's a completely different game, and it may even be in favor of the Chiefs at that point.
Right.
But the fact you lose both your tackles, I believe you lose your guard because he's a doctor too.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season, he opted out.
Yeah.
I mean, just straight up.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, dude. You need those foundations to get to championships. The most for me, the most important pieces on the football field on the football field is the offensive, defensive, and quarterback. Defensive lines. Sorry, offensive and defensive lines and quarterback. Without those, you're not going to do anything in football. You notice it was the defensive lines that the lines that won the game for Tampa. Defensive line took over the game from their point of view, and then offensive line, they were opening up holes for playoff Lenny and Ronald Jones to rush, and then they kept Tom on his feet. It's just without good offensive line play and defensive line play, you're not going to get anywhere in the playoffs.
Oh, and I might add, when you punt the ball, punt it good. Like, what did the punter have? Like three under 30? Yeah. 3 punts under 30 or something?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Gosh, when you need
the punter shanked it out of his end zone, dude. Wow.
Because you look at these Tom Brady stats, they're not, they're efficient, 21 to 29, 201 yards, 3 yards, 140, 50 yards of offense, less than 400 yards of offense, and you beat them 31-9.
Yeah.
Short field, man. Short field.
For sure, dude. Like, it's just that their punter let him down.
Yep.
Although he had a really good punt, it just got a penalty. And then the next one just shanked it for 24 yards. Like, that's just not good luck. It's really not.
It isn't.
But
I feel bad for him.
The kicker was good.
Butker,
9 points.
Butt kicker?
Yeah.
Butt kicker.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
All right. So, with that, dude, is Tom Brady the greatest of all time?
Tom Brady, yeah.
Even outside of football. Even outside of football. Is he the greatest of all time, sports-wise?
Is he the great? Man, that's hard to say because there are so many different type of sports. Because then you got to look into dominations like Jordan. But again, he's only got 6. Tom Brady's went to multiple teams. He's carried teams. He's never had a super team until the Buccaneers, in like 2 years with at the beginning with his defense and Randy Moss. So he's won with scheme. I mean, you also got to look at Olympic sports. There are dominant athletes in Olympic sports. Michael Phelps, 13 gold medals. Yep. That best football player and best team sports winner, I would say. I think when you get into individual perspective, I think there's a lot more argument just because of how you would define an athlete. Like, was he better than Tiger? An entire organization, the PGA, literally changed the game because Tiger was too good to hold back Tiger. Football's never changed the game to hold back Tom Brady. For example,
it's actually changed to help Tom Brady.
It's changed to help Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Shaquille O'Neal changed the entire NBA world because he was so dominant. They were like, "Well, we're going to create the charge foul." And create fouls, palooza for anybody getting charged by a big man.
Yeah.
So it's that makes it hard. It's such a difficult question. Football, yes. If he keeps winning, it just becomes more in his favor.
Yeah. So I would say yes to him being the greatest team sport athlete of all time. You're right when it comes to by yourself and being great. Like Tiger Woods, great by himself. Fantastic. Michael Phelps, great by himself. The most decorated Olympian of all time is actually a female, and she's a sharpshooter. I think she has around like 40 or something like gold medals. Yeah, something insane.
Wow.
But yeah. So I mean, greatest. I would definitely say the greatest team sport player of all time. He's just unmatched. Like, and not to mention, football's really hard. Football is extremely hard. Like, if you notice, dude, not a lot of players can come in and be a quarterback. Like, there's a lot of people who come in every year and we watch, like, dude, what is up with that quarterback play?
How did you get scouted?
Like, what in the world? Like, you have like multiple people who just don't have the talent. They don't have the processor. I mean, but granted, I think that Brady was not a fantastic quarterback whenever he was early in his career. I think that he was good, really good, but, was carried by his teams a little bit. But like we said, if you've been doing something for 22 years and you've had systems to learn and grow, and, he is a very driven person. So, I mean, got his diet right, got everything right, and lived and breathed football, which I'm not going to question Tom's desire to play football. It's just
never.
I think that his overall talent was that of the greatest of all time whenever he first started. No, he developed into the greatest of all time by learning and adapting and reading defense and learning what he's really good at, what he's not good at. It's just, he just made himself the greatest of all time by being hungry, driven, and focused on what he wanted.
So that leads me to my question right here. Does that actually make you the greatest of all time? Stories like that, like Michael Jordan, he was sent home from his high school basketball team. He was like a bench player at what was it, North Carolina, for a time before, and then he comes in and he just takes the world by storm, and his history. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, do you think he may struggle with that because he came out so far above everybody? Like, it was like, Pat Mahomes is here, instead of like, look at him struggle, and now all of a sudden he's won 3 Super Bowls in a row. Yeah. Does that change the story?
But the thing is, I think Pat could be, because he is just naturally that great. He's naturally that talented. He has that natural arm. He threw a ball perfectly, falling down horizontal to the field, and nailed a guy in the face. It's if Pat Mahomes can get to Tom if he can keep that desire, keep that hunger, keep that, keep that drive and want, and then continue to learn and process and keep that just sheer amount of talent. Because I think that what kept Aaron Rodgers back, I mean, besides his organization and team, which, it happens.
Yes.
I think that Aaron also lost. I don't think he ever really loved football. I've never seen Aaron Rodgers like, you know what? That guy just loves football. With Pat Mahomes, yeah, I can sense that hunger, that desire, that wanting to compete, that, he wants to be the greatest of all time. But if I'm taking processors, Tom Brady's processor is here. Pat's like right here, but his natural talent is right here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But if Pat Mahomes can keep that hunger and that drive and keep his body healthy, keep everything strict, his diet, his exercise, his study habits, all that for the next 10 to 15 years, I think we could be talking about Pat Mahomes could get to a level that's just untouchable.
It's just like two people, no question. Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes. And then you get the next onslaught of people. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And then everybody else.
He could get to that level. Yeah. It's just Pat Mahomes is going to have an incredible, insane career for us to have to consider him the greatest of all time over Tom Brady, because Tom Brady beat him, in the Super Bowl, the most important game, which then again, he did have his teammates that let him down, no tackles, but greatest of all times, overcome those problems, right?
Yep.
Yes, and Tom did have all that help, but it's kind of like he still beat him in the Super Bowl, so we're always going to remember that. So for Pat Mahomes to be considered that pinnacle, that tip top of the mountain, he's going to have an insane career. I'm talking like probably 9 Super Bowls and probably around 7 MVPs.
Yeah.
Something insane like that.
Yep. Oh man, it's just exciting, y'all, for exciting future for football. It's because of all the quarterbacks that are coming out, all the talent.
Oh man, quarterbacks are only getting better too, man. That's the thing about it. Quarterbacks are only getting better.
Receivers are getting better. Defenses are getting faster. It looks like the defenses are finally starting to adapt to these rules that the NFL created to benefit offense.
Kind of, yeah, but you know what is getting worse? Offensive linemen are getting worse.
Yeah. Well, because
that's why it's so hard to find, dude.
Because every position group has better camps. Offensive linemen, it's hard to train all the time for that. Unless you're going against somebody, it's hard to train. In pads, it's hard to train. You can train defensive line. You can train DBs. You can train wide receivers. A lot of that's on 7-on-7. D-line, it's hard for a lineman.
Players get beat up. Offensive linemen get hit, they get broken. Like, dude, I know offensive line broke my fingers all the time. And part of being an offensive or defensive lineman, dude, you gotta want contact. You gotta want to beat the hell out of whoever is across from you, and you gotta want to block, or you gotta want to, get to the quarterback. And it's just, dude, it takes a lot to be an offensive lineman, especially coming up through high school, and then not to mention the rarities. Like, you don't find many 6'6" men that can move at Montez Sweat or Tristan Wirfs level of athleticism. It's hard to find big men like that. So it's hard to find great talent at offensive line. And then
shout out to our right tackle off of Tampa Bay who jumped out of a pool. There's your athleticism. That's what we need to see.
Oh, Rick, we're about to get to the rumors, man.
We're about to get to the rumors.
In about as soon as we get done with this offensive line play, dude. We're gonna get to NFL rumors, and there's some juicy stuff happening. I mean, it's the NFL offseason. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. Free agency, all that stuff. The rumor mill is going to be great. But when it comes to offensive and defensive linemen, dude, it's hard to find talent, and not to mention with how soft the high school and college is getting with targeting rules and holding calls and all that stuff. It just makes an offensive lineman job even harder, and it's hard because to learn how to block, you have to have contact. You have to be able to like really get on someone. And if you're getting so ticky-tacky with your calls, it's hard for them to develop properly. Whereas in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, there was never really a shortage on offensive linemen because they're allowed to just go out there and bulldoze people, right?
Yes.
And the run game was so much more important. Whereas now they're constantly – so the difference between run blocking and pass blocking is run blocking is running to contact. It's running to move and all that stuff. Whereas right now you have Pat Mahomes, threw for 50 times in that game or something like that, or something insane in the Super Bowl. And, they're not fantastic tackles anyway for the Chiefs. So, knowing that you're in a pass situation and having to take on a Shaq Barrett or JPP is even harder, right? It's just kind of like when I don't think our offensive line issues in the future is going to get any better, but we're going to see better receivers and quarterbacks.
Yep, that's the truth, and it's so terrible because I know you played offensive line. I played offensive line as well.
I was a defensive lineman because I was,
you were a defensive lineman.
I'm actually athletic, so
I was just a fat barrel guy in football that could block a little bit and then get destroyed by guys like Rory because I was 5'9".
Well, I mean, and I was insanely fast too. So I mean,
insanely fast. But yes, good line technique, man. It's so hard. It's so much position, and just having that knowledge and having to have that one little thought. I have to go hard, but not hard enough, so I don't get a flag.
Right. I need to stick my hands here, but if I miss and go up here, it's a holding call. Right?
And if the guy falls down and I'm still holding on to him, it's a holding call.
Right. It's hard. It's really hard to train blocking techniques, especially young. And it's just with how soft the NFL and all that stuff game because of the CT issues. It's gonna happen, and it's not gonna get any better. But dude, do you want to get into the rumor mill?
Rumor mills. This is our new segment, y'all, called Rumors.
Rumors.
There we go. Hey, hashtag that.
Hashtag
rumors.
That sounds like a wormer. No, so dude, let's get into it. So, do you want to talk about it first with your news?
Okay, so you're a little blurry.
No,
the rumors I am starting to see is, first of all, it's either way y'all want to look at it. It's all about Dallas Cowboys. It's all about Dak Prescott. The biggest thing I've seen two huge things at the beginning, and this is this. How do you make your hype video without your quarterback in there? How do you do that? The guy you're like, we trust in Dak. We're going to sign Dak Prescott. He's our quarterback. We're not going to put you in the 2021 hype video, though. And then right after that, he likes the Washington football team. The contracts have stalled. Dak wants to be paid $40. Dak is not a $40 million quarterback. Most quarterbacks aren't $40 million quarterbacks. The one who just won a Super Bowl is a $32 million quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes.
Well, wasn't Brady paid less? I thought he was like a 28 mil.
Was he 28? I thought he was 32.
I think Brady took a
did he take a pay cut?
He didn't take a huge pay cut. I think it's like 28, something like that. $28 million. But it wasn't anything crazy. Yeah. Because he knows he needs players around him, back to that, dude, Mike Evans apparently told Bruce Arians that 25, right.
50 for 2 years. Still a win.
Yes. Still getting paid. Man, this blur is messing with me, man. Here we go. That's better. That any better?
Still a little blurry on your end, man.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Okay. Yeah. So, dude. Yeah. So apparently Mike Evans went to Bruce Arians and was like, you know what, coach, go ahead and take money from me to keep some players around us because I want to make another I want to make another run at a championship, which from a leader on your team, that's exactly what you want.
Yes.
What is going on here?
Man, I don't know, man. You may have lost just like focus.
Maybe. Hold on a second. Maybe I'll do a little bit of that. No, it's coming through my okay.
So, man, either way. And then the other thing is that apparently now a favorite destination for Dak Prescott is going to be Washington, because he liked Washington. A lot of people also can see Dak Prescott getting maybe even traded to the Panthers. Basically, I don't think as a Cowboys fan, Dak Prescott is going to be signed.
The thing
unless
about
he
it
comes to meet us
is they can't trade Dak even if they wanted to. He's a free agent.
Exactly.
They can't. He can just sign with whoever the hell he wants. Which, if he likes the Washington football team and they have the cap, I could see him going to be a Washington football player. That's a very, very, very possible thing, especially if he went on Twitter and liked them. So that tells me he's really interested.
Yes, and he's never liked them before now. That's the other thing, y'all. He's just all of a sudden.
Mill? So Miller is he's actually a Washington fan. Dude, go ahead and let us know if you would like Dak as your quarterback. Because I'm not gonna lie, with the amount of weapons in Washington, I'd like to see it. And like with that young defense around him, I think that Dak could do well. The one thing I would, if he were to go to Washington, I want them to get another receiver, man, because then they need to help Scary Terry out down the field. I'm not huge. I don't love their weapons on offense. I think they need a running back, and I think that they need a running back because Geis is gone. I think AP is gone. All they have really at receiver is Scary Terry. It's not helping out. Cowboys are going to pick up Russell Wilson.
Now, Bori, you have gotten to my second rumor topic.
I loved Alex Smith winning comeback player of the year. I loved it too, bro. His leg was inside out. It was disgusting.
He had an infection. He almost lost his leg. They almost thought about amputating it, and then he almost lost his life. I believe comes back. I mean, as soon as he stepped on that football field and threw one pass, you knew he was comeback player of the year.
Oh yeah,
it was just nobody else, man.
Yeah, well, the fact that he's grinded that hard too.
Yes.
Gibson running back is a beast. Yeah, but Mill, I think you guys could do better, man. Honestly, I really do. I mean, there's a lot of good running backs in this class. Really good North Carolina player that I love watching play. Real hard nosed. He has good long speed. I wish I could remember his name at the top of my head. There's actually two North Carolina.
It's a pretty common name too. It's
yeah, I forgot it. But you guys need weapons, especially if you're going to pick up Dak. And you need those weapons cheap, so you probably need to pick him up in the draft. Which, if you need a receiver, this is a fantastic year for a receiver for you because there's a lot of good ones. I think that with the Washington football team making it to the playoffs kind of screwed the pooch a little bit because pushing down the pick that far. Great, you made the playoffs, fantastic. Happy for you, really, really happy for you. I know you were happy, Mill, but it's just kind of like, man, from a draft perspective, you could have got a lot of really good players or traded down and got more picks. For me personally.
Yeah. And then real quick on Washington football team, I just want to say I do think there is a snub on Coach of the Year. I would like to say Ron Rivera is Coach of the Year. I mean, when you battle cancer, you beat cancer while at the same time taking a pretty average team on the worst conference in history and getting them to the playoffs and actually being competitive against Brady. I mean, yes, I understand Browns, great, awesome. First time in 25 years for the playoffs, but still, man, I mean, just that personal struggle.
What Ron Rivera did with the Washington football team is amazing. And, you know, it's not like he's been to the Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl type coach. He's been there.
Yes.
And for him to go into Washington, which was Mill, we talked about it, it was a mess. and it's still like there was huge issues with the upper echelon with strippers and all that stuff. Man, why am I getting more out of focus? Jesus. But it was a big mess, and for what he did with that team was amazing.
Yes.
From my perspective, like him getting them to the playoffs with basically no a quarterback with 1.5 legs with Alex Smith, because there's no way that leg was fully healthy during the season.
And I also like Washington's sign of Heineke. I like that. They signed him 2 years.
Yep, a great backup.
That was a good sign. Great backup
for that.
Really happy for that.
So Rick is asking, where do we think Deshaun is going? Which I think that he's going to be gone. There's no way he's staying with Houston. They just had their president literally resign today.
8 hours ago now.
Yeah, they literally had the president of their football team resign because of how bad the situation was. Okay, there we go.
What was it? Of 20 years.
Yes.
20.
Basically,
20
he was
years.
just like, this is a giant mess, and I need to get the hell away from this, because the longer I'm here, the more I'm tainted. Because Deshaun Watson is not going to come back and be a Houston Texan. It's not going to happen. He's going to go somewhere else, and probably the most likely place I could probably see him going to is probably, I don't know, I could see him playing really well for the 49ers. But I mean, what also we heard today, Rick, was Russell Wilson is forcing his way out of Seattle. So, yeah, that's huge news. Did you touch that? Did you touch on that, Jordan? What
I have not touched on that yet, but that is one of the likely trading spots, is the Dallas Cowboys going after Russell Wilson. Another likely one, but I just don't see it, is, I guess, Oakland is like the perfect spot. I don't like that. I don't think Russell Wilson wants that either. I think he wants to go somewhere. He wants to go and get protected.
Yeah.
And if he ends up in Dallas, Dallas has proven that they desire and they want strong and the best offensive line money can buy, and they'll be willing to spend and protect somebody like Russell Wilson. So I like that. And he's got weapons just like he has, if not better. I think
Dallas has better weapons. But Rick asked if we think the Colts. I don't think Deshaun's actually going to the Colts just because it's inside the division. They're not. I don't think Houston's going to trade to the Colts at any point ever, because they don't want to see Deshaun Watson twice a year. The most likely place I see the most likely quarterback I see going to the Colts is honestly Carson Wentz, because apparently the Eagles are trying to offload him. Man, it's a crazy offseason for quarterbacks. It's insane.
I've read a report that the Eagles have said they're probably locked and loaded on Jalen Hurts next year. Yeah, it's almost a guarantee now.
Dude, honestly, this season of quarterbacks just reminds me of the NBA offseason, where they're just trading superstars
everywhere.
They're just going everywhere, right? That's the feeling that I got right now.
Which I like that, because here's the thing: when you get travel like this, especially with these big superstars, the ones who control all the cap, and now these teams are just they're drooling at the mouth, but they're just like, all my money's taken. This is going to force the owners to spend more. This is going to help increase the cap. This means your team with a lot of cap space could get that football team, which then makes it more competitive. Yeah. Maybe they might be able to buy other teams out, but at the same exact time, I think this could be a really good way, a really good movement for football, is increasing the cap.
I mean, the thing about it, the cap is actually going down this year because of COVID, and it's losing about $20 million because of just 2020 was a really shit year. So Rick said, "What about?" That's what I said about Brett Favre. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Brett Favre being with the Vikings. But I think Rick Favre got out of Green Bay and went to the Jets, and then became a free agent, and then went to the Vikings. There wasn't a trade there, and Favre kind of took it personally, with the Green Bay Packers and all that stuff. Whereas Deshaun Watson has I think 3 or 4 years on his contract still. So I mean, he's a Texan for as long as he's has a contract. until because he's demanding a trade. I don't see the Houston Texans trading to the Colts.
He's demanding a trade.
He's
I'm
demanding
not
a trade,
sure,
yeah.
but I believe he has a no trade clause.
No, but it's a no trade clause if he doesn't want it.
If he doesn't want it, perfect.
Right.
Okay.
It's the no trade clause is if he doesn't want to leave. They can't force him to leave. Whereas if he wants to go, he can go.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope that cleared it up for you, Rick.
I like Denver, but I also like Washington. Washington's another team I like for Deshaun Watson. I also like Denver for Deshaun. Both teams have kind of that cap space and need. By the way, this is probably the nicest I'll ever sound about the Washington football team. Most of the time, I'm not as nice, but you gotta give props.
I like Washington way better than I like the Eagles. It's something about Pennsylvania fans. I can't stand them. I really hate them. Man. I find them to be annoying. It's about their teams. It's just Jesus, gross. Ugh. I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, not here on the Roar. No, but yeah. So Deshaun Watson, I think the most likely, maybe the Denver Broncos, or quite possibly the Bears. I could see the Bears too making up because that GM is always willing to just throw away his draft picks. So I mean, Deshaun Watson going to the Bears. He has a great defense, decent offensive line. Kind of lacking in the receiver department, but that's where probably the most likely destinations for me for Deshaun Watson. But I think that for me that's where it's at. What about you, Jordan?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just for me. I could see Deshaun Watson not wanting to go to the Bears unless they were willing to pay, because I mean they kind of snubbed him. You know, they took Trubisky over him.
Yeah.
They took Trubisky over him. And we clearly know Deshaun Watson was the better quarterback. Deshaun Watson really should have been a Bears
championship. Dude, it was just a really, really bad read. It was like, what had Mitchell Trubisky ever done in college that was like, you know what? That's going to be my guy out of North Carolina that doesn't play anyone.
Yes, I know. I like him. And then I think they got smoked by Clemson that year anyway.
They did. They got smoked by Clemson. And not only that, you had Deshaun Watson go head-to-head with Lamar Jackson, and it was a really good game, but Deshaun won. He beat a Heisman Trophy winner.
And then he beat that nasty defense from Alabama by himself. Very good. And got lit up and showed how big of an Iron Man he was. One of my favorite college games championships I've ever watched was Alabama versus Clemson when Deshaun Watson.
That was great national
championship. Alabama cry about the pick block by Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of right there, but then you know what? It happens.
It does.
Sorry. It wasn't your year. Sorry, you couldn't have 8 championships. Ooh. Breeze retired. He said that playoff game where he lost was his last game ever. He looked over at Jameis Winston and said, "This is your team now." But as soon as Jameis Winston throws about 60 picks next year, he's going to be out of there also.
Exactly. I think he's going to try to one up this year. I think he's going to go 31 for 31 instead of 30 for 30. He's going to just keep adding to his club that only he is a part of.
I wonder if I would have taken his last snap of that season and kept that football, his 30 for 30 football. That'd have been great.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from what I've heard and read about, I guess Drew Brees had 12 fractures in his ribs, a punctured lung.
Something insane like that.
He lost one arm and put a prosthetic on and was still throwing on it. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, I agree, Rick, with this comment. I think he would be a great fit with Sean Payton. Money? But the thing about it is the Saints are they're in an unprecedented $90 million negative in cap space.
Thank you, Michael Thomas.
Yeah, they are insanely. So getting Breeze off the books, that clears up about 25 million, but they're going to have to restructure a lot of contracts. They're not going to be able to sign a lot of their players, like Ryan Ramczyk, their I believe he's their left tackle. They're probably not going to be able to re-sign him because just straight up cap, or they're going to have to let go of half of their defense and not sign Marshawn Lattimore or something like that. I forget exactly who's in a contract here. I can look it up real fast, actually.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, there's just a lot of teams, and then especially it just gets so much more complicated because of the decrease of the cap, and which makes it even worse. So, man, it's just – I would like to see Deshaun Watson in there because it would just be crazy to see what him with Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Thomas would be able to do with that type of defense, a really solid offensive line, and Alvin freaking Kamara. Man.
Damn, dude, they're paying
Winston
Cam Jordan 18 million, 19 million.
That's fair.
Yeah, Cam Jordan's really good.
Yep, I like him.
Michael Thomas 18 million, Teron Armstead 16 million, Taysom Hill 16 million. Oh God, that's wow.
Hey,
that's
insurance
wow.
policies, right? You gotta love your guy who can run the Wildcat.
Yeah, Winston's horrible. Yeah.
I don't even know why he's still in the NFL, honestly.
Yeah, so
so
out of 180 million cap space total for every team, the Saints are at a liability of 265 million. Yeah. So they're gonna have to get rid of players or restructure contracts or just figure it out, because I believe Marshawn Lattimore is at the end of his rookie deal.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, as we've been saying since the week 16, since the playoffs, free agency is going to be crazy because teams are going to be offloading players. They're just going to be offloading these superstars, these number one. And if you're if you're looking for a single piece or defense or offense, it just looks like you're going to have it this offseason and be able to grab them in free agency, which is going to completely – this is what makes the draft so interesting this year.
Mm-hmm.
These teams we think are going to be picking these quarterbacks, these wide receivers, these defensive players, they may not.
But the
because of the availability.
There's gonna be a lot of players from the Saints, man, just hitting the open market, like Sheldon Rankins, their defensive tackle, Latavius Murray, running back,
great backup running
Marcus
back.
Davenport, is at that point too. Which, dude, the Saints traded away 2 first-round picks for Marcus Davenport and did not turn out well for them.
No, it didn't. I mean, this is what's going to make it so interesting. The quarterbacks are on the move, defensive players, wide receivers, offensive linemen. It's just going to be crazy. So it's really, is it bad that you're being drafted this year just for the amount of free agency and experienced starters that may be getting offloaded on the books because of this low cap?
Not really. I mean, not really, because it never hurts to get drafted. As long as you're being drafted, it doesn't hurt. But
where you could go and where your career could end up, this actually bodes well for Cincinnati.
It bodes well for a lot of lower
teams.
Echelon teams, because now everyone has a fighting chance. So that's why I don't necessarily like the NBA's approach to just buying players, because it gets predictable for the most part. Mm-hmm. The teams with the highest markets, it would be really good for the Cowboys who could just go out and buy whoever the hell they want, or the
90s.
Or the San Franciscos or the LAs, they could just pay whoever the hell they want. And then you basically just have to you have to be really, really, really good at draft and, really sell your team in order to get anyone to come to you. So, I mean, I don't mind the hard cap. I think it makes the league a little bit more, fair, but also it shows you how bad an organization would have to be to stink. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone starts off equal.
That is true. Man, just so much. Gosh, who else? I mean, it would be really. I just don't know why they would get rid of Russell Wilson in Seahawks, man. That's just something that's perplexing to me a little bit. I guess if you just don't think your team is going to go anywhere by the time his contract's up, that's the only way I can actually see it. It's just like, you know what, we paid him this much, but we expected to win a Super Bowl, and now we're looking like where we're not going to have a good football team for the rest of this $140 million contract we just gave him.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just like, you know what, we're going to offload him, see what draft picks we are. My ideal for the Dallas Cowboys getting a draft pick, it's obviously looking at what Matt Stafford got. I mean, you basically traded up quarterbacks. You got 2 first-round picks and what was it, a second and a third or something for future picks. So Russell Wilson is obviously going to demand that much. So I would say for the Dallas Cowboys, that would be your first round, 10th overall pick. I would say your 2022 first round pick. I would give a third and maybe a fourth. And then I would offload 2 of your big contract players. Now, Seattle's going to want players because they're getting rid of Russell Wilson, and they're going to need defense and offense. So I'm getting rid of one of my big, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence with maybe a Michael Gallup, or maybe vice versa. Maybe get rid of Zeke because he's maybe not as prominent as you think he was. They do need a run game, a healthy run game in Seattle.
Yeah.
And then I would give maybe Jalen Smith, see if you can trade him. And that's what I would go with. And maybe you get Russell Wilson.
So, yeah. So hopefully not to Jerry World. My site's going 500. I think that the Cowboys need to figure out their offensive line. Teron Smith, I love him as a talent. I love him as a player. I love him as a human being. But he's not healthy. He plays like what? He played like what over the past 3 years? What, maybe about 10 games? Something like that?
Games.
A little more?
Yeah.
Something like that.
He's
nothing.
Usually out. We'll be lucky if we can get him half a season now.
Yeah, you're lucky for that, dude. And he's eating at what, 14 million of your cap?
Yep.
Yeah. No, not gonna happen. But you guys have drafted early. I like Biotis. I like who's the Texas tackle?
Connor Williams.
He's playing guard. I like him. I can like him there. I like your Lyle Collins.
Zach Martin.
Zach Martin's still there. How old is he now? Like 31?
He's not old. He went out. What, he was there the year before Zeke and Dak.
Was he? No,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, Zach Martin. He's not an old player.
Not like super old, but I think he's on the upper side, isn't he? I thought he was there a couple years before Dak.
He's 30. No?
Yeah, he's 30. 30, dude.
Yeah, he not old.
No, he's not old. But he's still got some good years left. It's just kind of like
two years.
You need to start figuring it out, dude. Because he's about an injury away from not being there. Trust me, dude. I Geno Atkins and AJ Green. Yeah, 30's not old. Next thing you know, they don't play for the next 2 years. So
I mean, but offensive line is different. No. Some offensive linemen can, bounce back. It just really depends on the offensive lineman on that. Right. Basically, you're seeing my homer go into Zach Martin right now.
I love Zach Martin as a player, but age, father time's unbeaten. Yep. It gets harder to play, harder to rest and recuperate. And especially when you're playing for a losing organization, it kind of dampens the spirit a little bit. Makes it harder to come back and play. But I mean, I think Russell Wilson could rejuvenate that, but it would take, it would take a crazy amount of draft capital and players to get him out of Seattle. I think because if Matt Stafford got that haul, I don't think Russell Wilson's missed a playoff, right?
No, what this year? This year, that was it.
No, it did. I thought
he didn't know. Seahawks. Wait, was he a wild card? Seahawks were wild card.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't play. They missed the playoffs because the Rams got in. Yeah. So That's it, dude. He's missed the playoffs one time in his entire career, so it's gonna take a lot of
and think about
value.
this. Look at what Deshaun Watson's demanding, and the dude hasn't won a Super Bowl.
Mm-mm.
And
he's only got to the playoffs twice.
Only been to the playoffs twice, and I think he's lost all times. So, man, that's like the kryptonite. Your team has got to be ready to win now, because say you do give that to Russell Wilson, and you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't win in 2 years, you basically wasted everything, because then all these players start to come up again. All your new rookies, all the rookies you signed, these players.
Yep. That's why I want my Bengals to spend now, because Joe Burrow's coming. He's coming, and he's gonna demand at least a Deshaun Watson contract.
Oh, of course, maybe even more. By the time
it's going to take about $250 million to keep Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Yep,
and he's going to want access to who we draft. He's going to have personnel free agency demands, who he wants. There's going to be a lot of stuff. By the way, super excited. My Bengals got leaked today. They are adding a Ring of Honor, which that wasn't even a thought before this year. I'm pretty sure the Joe Burrow got into the air. I'm like, hey, dude, what the fuck are you guys doing? I'm like, Jesus, not even a Ring of Honor? Yeah. So that got leaked today. So I'm pretty happy about that, which I made a video about that last year on the channel, what they need to do to make the players happier. Because that's the rumor. Carlos Dunlap went into the Seattle press and was like, how was your time in Cincinnati? And he basically shit all over the franchise, and basically how the franchise didn't appreciate older players, which I agree with. I said the exact same thing in my video. But Joe Burrow's coming. We're gonna have to pay him. But yeah, Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson are top end quarterbacks, and I think they can get you to where you need to go. Burrow needs a good line, or he'll get hurt again. I agree. Yep. And if from what I understand, Joe Thuney from the Patriots really wants to be a Bengal. His wife Megan is on a lot of Cincinnati pages or whatever, liking a lot of, hey, Joe, come to Cincinnati tweets and all that stuff. I'm not saying that, that's 100%. It's just in the scuttlebutt. His wife is literally going out of her way to like Cincinnati stuff, and Joe Thuney is an Ohio guy. So I think he wants to come back home. And Joe Thuney is one of the Patriots top end inside offensive linemen.
And I mean, you got to think about it too. Maybe he doesn't think New England's got the winning culture like it used to. Maybe he thinks they're in a rebuild mode, and it could take him a minute. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, hey, like I said, more people on the move.
How is the Patriots?
Patriots cap space. I think they've got one of the largest. They're like at 54 million or something, man. They've got a lot of cap space, I want to say.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me pull it up. Where is New England?
Oh yeah, 100%, Rick. Barry Sanders. A lot of people can argue that was probably one of the greatest running back ever that we ever saw. And because he went to the Detroit Lions and he stayed there, he ruined his career. If he had probably been in any of those top programs back in that day, whether it had been the Packers, the Bills, the 49ers, maybe Russell goes to the Patriots. Ooh. Hey, the Patriots could take. They have the cap space, $57 million.
Yeah, they have $62 million. $62 million in the cap space. I'm on over the cap. Sorry, that's what I'm going off of over the cap for 2021. 78. So yeah, I could see Russell Wilson going to the Patriots. That makes sense. The Patriots don't draft well anyway in the first 2 rounds, so a draft picks for them is like nothing. It's just kind of like, would Seattle make? It is AFC, but would they make an opponent who's really, really good even better with the quarterback? Do do you want to deal with the Patriots again? And not to mention the Patriots beat them in the Super Bowl. So I mean, maybe.
I think that's a faded memory.
I don't think so. I don't think
so.
I don't think people forget. People, that's a famous super bad quote. People don't forget. Yeah. The Patriots period on the Seahawks pants, and no one's gonna forget that. Yeah. So. Yeah, dude. I mean, at this point, it's kind of a who's who of who's going to be where. That's why it's so interesting this offseason to talk about the AFC East is going to be really good next year. I agree. From what I'm hearing from the Dolphins, a lot of people are not sold on Tua. Apparently, it's an arm strength issue, which was a big thing for in his draft process too. I mean. Maybe. I mean, I think that Buffalo is going to be really good in the future. I think that they're going to be very, very good. The Jets, they need to figure out who their quarterback's going to be, and they need receivers and a defense that actually produces. But the Patriots don't have a quarterback. I mean, yet they have Bill Belichick, which is a great coach, and I'm pretty sure Matt Patricia's coming back for their defense.
Not to mention a lot of their defensive players opted out. They're coming back.
They're coming back
next season.
Old. I think they're old, dude, and they've been on the couch for a year.
Yeah, that's true. But some people take a year, come back, and they'll be healthier and fresher.
Yep. I mean, I agree. It's gonna be a crazy offseason, dude. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Man, I think we pretty much hit on all the points. There's not.
I think we're good.
Man. I think it's great talk.
Yeah. We can get into the draft stuff, dude. Honestly, we can probably do a PFF mock within the next 2 weeks. We can just pull it up and we can just go. I can try and do a share screen or something like that through here, or figure out how to do it, and we can do like a fun little mock draft for the people who want to jump in on it. But yeah, dude. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, guys. Just thank y'all for commenting tonight. Y'all make it a blast. We love having y'all comment.
Love it.
It makes it so much better. Or else we're just two dudes talking football, which isn't ever bad. Nobody ever said that was weird. So thank y'all so much for commenting.
Yeah, Rick. Hey,
subscribe.
Give my thoughts to your boys. Appreciate you watching the show. Get them to talk about it here too. I know you like them Sooners. You guys just got a fantastic running back out of California. You guys are going to be a huge contention next year with Spencer Rattler. And I believe you guys also signed another 5-star, Caleb Williams for the Boomers. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hey, yeah, Rick.
Yeah, sorry, Rick.
Wiggs, Jordan is he's a Longhorns fan.
He's a Longhorns fan. There we go.
Yeah, yep. Rick is a diehard. He's a diehard Oklahoma guy. Yeah, but we appreciate you commenting, Rick. You really helped out the show. We love it. Thank you for everyone that came on. Daryl, thanks for coming on too, man. Appreciate it. Love you. I think we're gonna get out of here. You know what it is. Like, subscribe, follow. In the future, when I come on, I'll let everyone know on Facebook, on YouTube, and we just love having a conversation. Appreciate you coming on here, and we love doing this. And in the future, we're gonna do a lot more off-season free agency and draft stuff. So stick around for that. Jordan, you got anything else to say, brother?
Nope, you've covered it, man. Like, subscribe. Right. We love having y'all on, man.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys. Thank you. Peace.